If you ever put your hands on me again, you will never use your miserable hands again.
Nora had learned to move quietly in her own home. Last week, Stanley grabbed her by the hair because her footsteps were too loud while he was on a business call. 2 months ago, he shoved her against the kitchen counter because dinner was ready 5 minutes late. Yesterday, he slapped her face twice because she forgot to pick up his dry cleaning. The house was large and beautiful, filled with expensive furniture and art that meant nothing to her. She was dressed in silk curtains on marble floors. The fear lived in her body now. It sat in her chest when she woke up, followed her through breakfast, waited with her in the evenings. She had become an expert at reading Spencer's face, his tone, the way he walked into a room. These small signs told what kind of day it would be. Her mother called on a Tuesday afternoon. Nora held the phone steady and smiled, though her mother could not see her. "Everything is fine, Mama." "Yes, Stanley is wonderful. No problems at all." The lies came easily now, smooth as water. She had been telling them for 3 years. One day, Stanley came home angry. Nora did not know why, and she had learned not to ask. Asking questions made things worse. She served his dinner and kept her head down, but it was not enough. It was never enough. He stood up suddenly, his chair scraping against the floor. Nora's heart jumped. She knew what was coming. She had seen this build up 100 times before. His hand rose in the air, moving fast toward her face. But this time, something different happened. Her hand shot up and caught his wrist mid-air. Her grip was iron strong. Before Spencer could react, her leg swept out and connected with his shin, then his knee. He fell backward, crashing onto the expensive rug with a heavy thud. Spencer lay on the floor, staring up at his wife with wide, confused eyes. His mouth opened, but no words came out. Nora stood over him, breathing steady, her hand still raised. She did not look like Nora anymore. Stanley spent the next 3 days watching his wife as if she were a stranger who had moved into his home. He kept his distance, studied her movements, tried to understand what had happened. At night, he slept on the far edge of the bed. During meals, he chose his words carefully. The woman who had caught his hand mid-air and put him on the floor terrified him in ways he could not explain. Nora moved through the house with a confidence that did not belong to her. She met his eyes when she spoke. She did not flinch when he entered a room. Stanley's confusion grew each day, but beneath it lived something he had never felt in this house before: fear. 2 weeks earlier, Laura had been in her apartment in Houston when her phone rang. The video call connected, and her identical twin sister's face filled the screen. Nora was smiling, but the smile was wrong. She held the phone at an odd angle, keeping half her face in shadow. Laura leaned closer. "Nora, let me see your face." Nora adjusted slightly but still kept part of her face hidden. In the background, Laura heard a man's voice rising in anger. It was Stanley. The voice grew louder, sharper, meaner. Nora tried to laugh it off. She insisted everything was fine. But Laura saw it. Just for a second, before Nora shifted the phone away, a dark bruise spreading across her sister's cheekbone. Heat rose through Laura's body. This was not the first time. 5 years earlier, the family had discovered Stanley's violence. There had been meetings, tears, promises. Stanley had begged for forgiveness and sworn he had changed. Nora had defended him, asked everyone to give him another chance. The family had reluctantly agreed. It had all been lies. "I'm coming back to Nigeria," Laura said, her voice flat and final. Panic filled Nora's face. "No, Laura, please. Everything is fine. I can handle this myself. You don't need to." Then she ended the call. When Nora found out her sister had beaten her husband, she called Laura crying. Not tears of relief, but tears of anger and shame. Laura had promised to only talk, but seeing Stanley bruised and confused, Nora did not know how to face him. Laura told Nora to stay at their parents' house a few more days. She would fix things and make it possible for Nora to return home. Nora agreed because the damage was already done. The next morning, Laura returned to the house. Stanley sat in the living room with an ice pack pressed to his ribs. At the sound of her footsteps, his body tensed. Fear was immediate, obvious. Over the next few days, he moved through the house like a guest, careful not to disturb anyone. He came home early from work, watching Laura constantly, trying to understand what had changed in his wife overnight. Laura used his fear to move freely through rooms he once kept locked. Laura found Stanley's phone. The messages opened like a wound. Text to a woman named Chidera. Hotel receipts. Weekend trips Stanley had told Nora were business conferences. Emails to a lawyer discussing divorce plans. He had planned to leave after securing a major deal. Laura took photos and drove to their parents' house, handing the phone to Nora without a word. Nora's face went pale as she scrolled through everything. Each text was a knife, each photo proof that the man she had defended, suffered for and loved had never loved her back. Even after seeing it all, part of her still wanted to believe there was an explanation. Love does not die quickly, even when it should. Laura held her sister as she cried and told her the truth. Stanley was not worth saving. He had never been worth it. But Nora's heart was stubborn. Despite everything, she still loved him. 2 weeks later, Nora went to the hospital for a routine checkup. She had been tired, nauseous, blaming stress from everything with Stanley. The doctor ran tests and delivered news that changed everything. She was 8 weeks pregnant. Nora sat in the examination room, hand on her stomach. She still loved Stanley, but this child deserved better than a father who hit, controlled, and planned to abandon them both. The love she had poured into her marriage would not disappear. It would just change direction. She would give it all to this baby instead. Nora decided she would leave and never tell Stanley about the pregnancy. Laura promised to help. Within weeks, Nora moved to Houston. The divorce papers were filed quietly. Stanley, confused and afraid, signed without resistance. In her new apartment, Nora set up a nursery. Standing before the mirror one evening, hand resting on her belly, she felt something she had not felt in years. Peace. The love she had wasted on Stanley was finding a new home. Her child would grow up knowing only kindness. She had escaped her prison. Sometimes, the bravest thing you can do is walk away.